Our protagonist, Julian West, found himself in a most peculiar situation. He had awakened in the year 2000, over a century after his time. As he walked the bustling streets of Boston, he was struck by a curious absence. There were no shops, no banks, no signs of commerce as he knew it. People moved with purpose, but there was no frantic scramble for money, no haggling over prices. It was baffling. Julian had been under the care of Dr. Leet and his family, who had patiently explained the workings of this new world. Yet seeing it firsthand was a different experience altogether. He observed people selecting goods from public stores, their faces reflecting contentment rather than the stress of purchase. There were no exchanges of currency, no anxious counting of coins.
This was a world without money. The very concept seemed unfathomable to Julian, a man of the 19th century. As he walked, he grappled with the implications of this radical shift. How could a society function without the engine of commerce driving it? How were goods and services distributed? What motivated people to work and innovate? That evening, over a sumptuous dinner prepared by Mrs. Leedy, Julian found himself drawn back to the subject that had consumed his day. The dining room was bathed in the warm glow of electric lights, a testament to the technological advancements of this new age. Mrs. Leet, ever perceptive, noticed his preoccupation.
You seem lost in thought, Mr. West. Is something troubling you?
I apologize, Mrs. Leet. It's just that I haven't seen a single shop or bank all day. How does anything get done in this city without money?
Dr. Leedy chuckled softly, his eyes twinkling with amusement. Ah yes, money. A relic of a bygone era, Mr. West. A crude and inefficient tool that we have long since abandoned.
Abandoned money? But how can a society function without it? How do you buy and sell goods? How do people get paid for their work?
You see, Mr. West, in your time, money was the intermediary, the means by which people exchanged goods and services. But it was an imperfect system, riddled with inefficiencies and inequalities. The accumulation of wealth in the hands of a few created vast disparities. It fueled greed, competition, and ultimately unhappiness. We have evolved beyond such a system. In our society, everyone is equal, and everyone contributes to the common good.
But without the incentive of personal gain, what motivates people to work?
The incentive, Mr. West, is the betterment of society as a whole. Each citizen contributes their skills and talents to the best of their ability. In return, they have access to all that society has to offer. Imagine a world where everyone's basic needs are met: food, shelter, healthcare, education. Imagine a world where people are free to pursue their passions without the burden of financial worry. That is the world we have created. In your time, the machinery of production was controlled by a select few. They sought to maximize profits, often at the expense of the workers and the environment. We have replaced that system with one of communal ownership and democratic control. Resources are allocated based on need, not on the ability to pay. This ensures that everyone benefits from the fruits of our collective labor. Dr. Leedy's words hung in the air, painting a picture of a future that Julian could hardly believe was real.
Julian, though still grappling with these new ideas, began to see the logic. So, everyone works for the benefit of society, and in turn, society provides for everyone's needs.
Precisely, Mr. West, Dr. Leedy confirmed. We have found that when people are freed from the constraints of money and economic insecurity, they are more likely to discover their true potential and contribute meaningfully to society.
But what about individual ambition? Julian countered. Don't people want to get ahead, to achieve more than others?
Mrs. Leet, who had been listening intently, interjected with a smile. Of course, Mr. West. But ambition in our society is channeled towards the betterment of the community, not personal gain. For instance, Mrs. Leet continued, take the matter of fashion. In your time, it was a tool for social climbing, a way to display one's wealth and status. Here, clothing is seen as a form of self-expression, a celebration of individuality within the context of our shared humanity.
Julian glanced down at his own attire, feeling a pang of self-consciousness. His clothes, though fashionable in his time, seemed garish and outdated in this world of understated elegance.
You needn't worry about your attire, Mr. West, Mrs. Leet assured him kindly. We understand that you are still adjusting to our ways. In time, you will find that our clothing is both practical and aesthetically pleasing.
Indeed, Dr. Leedy added, we have no need for ostentatious displays of wealth, for there is no such thing as wealth disparity in our society. Everyone has access to the finest fabrics and designs. The conversation flowed effortlessly, touching upon various aspects of this new world. Julian learned about their advanced education system, which fostered critical thinking and personal growth over rote memorization and competition. He discovered that healthcare was a right, not a privilege, and that the elderly were revered for their wisdom and experience.
But what about those who are unwilling to contribute, Julian questioned. Surely there must be some who would take advantage of such a system.
Dr. Leedy nodded thoughtfully. There are always exceptions, Mr. West, but we have found that the vast majority of people are inherently good and want to contribute to society. When you remove the pressures of economic survival and social hierarchy, you create an environment where cooperation and empathy flourish.
And for those who do stray from the path, Mrs. Leet added, we have systems of rehabilitation and support, not punishment. We believe in redemption, not retribution.
As the evening progressed, I began to grasp the enormity of the societal shift that had occurred. It was a world where technology served humanity, not the other way around. A world where sustainability and environmental stewardship were paramount. A world where cooperation had triumphed over competition. It's hard to imagine a world without poverty, without crime, without the constant struggle for survival.
It may seem like a utopia, Mr. West, but it is simply the result of applying logic and compassion to the organization of society. We have learned from the mistakes of the past and built a future where everyone can thrive.
But how did such a transformation occur? What sparked this radical change?
It was a gradual process, Mr. West, driven by a growing awareness of the inherent flaws in the old system. As technology advanced, it became increasingly clear that the scarcity that had defined human history was an artificial construct. The means to provide for everyone's needs were well within our grasp, yet the old systems of greed and competition prevented us from achieving that goal.
It began with small steps: the nationalization of key industries, the implementation of universal basic income, the prioritization of education and healthcare. Each step brought us closer to a more just and equitable society.
And as the benefits of these changes became apparent, more and more people embraced the idea of a world without money. It was a collective awakening, a realization that a better future was possible.
Later that night, unable to sleep, I found myself drawn to the rooftop of the Leet residence. The city stretched before me, a symphony of lights and gentle sounds. The air was clean, the stars vibrant in the night sky. As I gazed upon this world of the future, I couldn't help but reflect on my own time, a time of stark contrasts, of immense wealth and abject poverty, a time when human potential was often stifled by circumstance. Could such a transformation truly occur? Could humanity evolve beyond its baser instincts and embrace a system of cooperation and shared prosperity? The question swirled in my mind, a mix of skepticism and hope.
Julian West's journey into the future is more than just a tale of time travel. It is a thought experiment, a challenge to our preconceived notions about the way society must function. It compels us to question the role of money, the nature of work, and the very meaning of progress. Is a world without money a utopian fantasy or a tangible possibility? Can we break free from the shackles of economic determinism and create a society where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential? These are the questions that linger long after the story ends, prompting us to envision a future where humanity's greatest asset is not its wealth, but its capacity for compassion, cooperation, and collective progress.